There's a website out there that you might have come across called BidenNoms.com. When I first found out there was this Biden Noms website, I, of course, thought it was about the snacks that President Biden is nomming on. It was like an ice cream tribute site. But it's actually BidenNoms.com is about Biden nominees for government posts. It's the website of a right-wing group called the American Accountability Foundation. And it's not shy about what the group is setting out to do. They say at BidenNoms.com, quote, personnel is policy. We are working to ensure that leaders within the federal government reflect the values and concerns of the American people, not the liberal coastal elites and their woke allies in corporate America. And then, just like they're sort of hunting trophies, the site has headshot after headshot of headshot after headshot of Biden nominees. Some of them famous ones, for sure, but some of them you've definitely never heard of. The thing that's unique about this group is that they're not sort of trying to keep one person who they don't like or two people who they don't like out of the job. They're trying to keep every single Biden nominee out of the job, or at least to dirty them all up along the way. Everybody Biden nominated who's going through the confirmation process, they're going after them simply because Biden nominated them. All of them. Now, opposition research isn't new. It's a sort of gross part of how Washington operates, but it has always been thus. This group, though, is different. And investigative reporter Jane Mayer at The New Yorker has been busy sort of finding them out. Quote, the American Accountability Foundation's approach represents a new escalation in partisan warfare. Rather than attack a single candidate or nominee, the group aims to thwart the entire Biden slate, meaning every Biden nominee, full stop. They claim to have successfully derailed nominations like Biden's nominee for comptroller of the currency by ginning up a fake narrative that she was somehow a communist, an actual communist. Also, the nomination of Sarah Bloom Raskin for a position at the Federal Reserve Board. They claimed falsely that a delay in her disclosure of a stock trade was because she had somehow abused her position as a previous government employee to obtain some sort of secret financial benefit for herself. It was completely false. There's mudslinging, but then there's this. What's different about this is the wholesale approach to every nominee of the Biden administration and the willingness to levy these attacks, not only sort of separate from the facts, but separate in many cases from common decency at a wholesale level. Joining us now is Jane Mayer. She's chief Washington correspondent for The New Yorker. She's also the author of Dark Money, The Hidden History of the Billionaires Behind the Rise of the Radical Right. Ms. Mayer, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for making time.
Well, great to be with you. Welcome back. And that was a fantastic introduction. I had never heard the phrase eliminationist rhetoric before, but it's perfect in describing what this group tries to do.
Well, thank you. That's nice of you to say. But I mean, when I was watching the Judge Jackson confirmation hearings and Senator Hawley and Senator Blackburn and conservative media started going down this line with her, it was shocking because the allegation they were making against her, saying that she was, soft on sexual abuse of children, was so divorced from the facts and felt so wrong. But it also does dovetail with these other political tactics that we see in dictatorships and that we sort of started to see in the Trump era of the Republican Party. And it really had me wondering who cooked this up, because I didn't think Josh Hawley made it up himself. It seems like you've discovered that this group was the origin story for that false attack.
Yeah, Hawley had some little helping hands, and it was this group, the American Accountability Foundation, which, believe it or not, is a tax-exempt organization. You can give money to it and get a tax deduction while it smears everybody in sight. It does, sort of phony research, basically, and a pretty sloppy job if you really look into it. Most of the mud that it slunk has dissolved when you take a really close look. But the problem is, for a lot of the lesser known nominees, people aren't really looking very carefully. What caught my eye about it was that I was writing a little bit about the nomination of Sarah Bloom Raskin to become the vice chairman of the Fed for supervision. She's incredibly well qualified, and very well liked by the banking world also, and had been confirmed twice before. to very senior positions at the Fed and at the Treasury Department with bipartisan unanimous support. And suddenly there were these allegations that were a pretext, basically, that had nothing to do with reality, that was kind of a made up story claiming that she had an ethical problem. And they didn't really go after her for what I think is the real beef that they had with her, which was that she had said a few things about climate change and how it posed a risk to the economy. So I started looking at this group, trying to figure out who are these people? And of course, it turned out that a lot of the senators were getting their research from this group, and the senators were getting their money from the fossil fuel industry, and they needed a pretext to take her down in order to stop the Fed from including climate change as one of the things that it might consider as an important economic risk. So anyway, I started trying to find out who these people were.
You also write about the expensive lengths to which this group appears to have gone to come up with these smears for some other nominees, including a woman who was put forward to be comptroller of the currency, the one who was denounced as a communist. When you describe them like sending people all over the world to try to dig stuff up that they could mischaracterize and take out of context and use against her, and then senators avidly digested it and threw it at her during that hearing, it raises this question of where they're getting all the funding to do this. And Jane, you've been so good at untangling how dark money works. What were you able to find out about where the funding for this group comes from and who's doing it?
Well, surprisingly, the financial trail goes back to Donald Trump. He has a leadership PAC with hundreds of over $100 million in it. And one of those $1 million went from his leadership PAC to the Conservative Partnership Institute, which is an organization on Capitol Hill. It's kind of like an island of Elba for the Trump administration. You've got Mark Meadows working there and a number of other people from the Trump world up there, Cleta Mitchell. It spawned this other little sort of group, which is the American Accountability Foundation. So it really is an offshoot of the Trump world and being funded in part by the Trump world.
Jane Mayer, Chief Washington Correspondent for The New Yorker magazine, untangling these knots one at a time for us. Thank you, Jane. I appreciate your reporting. Thanks for talking to us about it tonight.
Thanks for having me.